Greetings, fellow mayors. This is Captain Obvious, and welcome back to the Masterclass series. And this is a 2 builds in 1 video episode. We are going to utilize the map's built-in assets, such as the chopped down logs, and design a forest industry around it. And we're also going to create a low-income neighborhood around the built-in abandoned buildings in the map. And this is where we left off from the previous episode. So we created our downtown area and we used a lot of the IT cluster buildings in order to pacify the not enough goods demands. And I have to be honest, this is my very first downtown that I've created with the skyscrapers DLC, and I am very proud with the outcome simply because it is extremely compact. So if we check out the road layout, look at that. This is extremely grid, but if you look at the outcome, it is magnificent. A lot of this is zoned buildings, and they don't really have a lot of duplicates, and if they are duplicated, they are in separate areas, so it's not that apparent. And yeah, it's just really well done. And then I created like paths in between where they made sense, and even though it's so compact, I was still able to kind of decorate within it, so which is really cool. So we created this, right? This is an extension of that. Then I just duplicated and placed it on the other side. We made use of this. It is such a beautiful build. And then we created this tiny park here in front of these tall buildings. So yeah, I'm very proud of the outcome. And then of course we have our our theme of the city, where we have our main road, and then we're using all these palms going through, and it goes all the way throughout the city. Yeah, so I am very happy with the outcome of this. All right, so let's go ahead and continue. So we have a lot of demands for industry, but that doesn't mean we're going to continue the IT cluster. So because it's not necessary anymore. And what I'm going to do is we're going to create our forestry. So the thing about IT clusters, so it solved our issue for the meantime of the not enough goods, but it does not really increase your income. And the best way to increase your income is Industries DLC. The IT cluster just happens to be in a downtown area and is mixed in with hotels and retreats. So that's the only reason why it's earning income. It's because of the hotels and retreats itself. Okay, so we started our forestry with the main building, and now we just need to add in our extractors and processing buildings. But try to remember that for extractors, you need to plant trees. So for example, this has no trees, and if I place down this extractor building, it's going to say not enough goods. There you go. So that alert will appear. So if I plant trees on this side, that's strange how that worked. It should not. I originally planned to place another one here to show that it works, but I guess that's something new that I learned. So you just plant trees next to it, I suppose. Okay, so I started off with 4 extractors, and then we added these sawmills, like kind of scattered around. So eventually, when we unlock buildings, we are just going to continue adding on top of this. And the plan is I'm going to place our extractors on this side, and our processing will be closer to the main road. Okay, so right now we have more than enough workers, and we are simply waiting to get more produce resource, and that will reach level 2. Okay, so now you're gonna see vehicles or trucks going or taking this route instead. And the brilliant thing about this build that I just noticed is we only have a single connection to the highway. I mean, this is the initial start of the city, and we've never created another connection, and we're already at 23,000, and our traffic flow is still holding at above 90%, which is amazing. Okay, now we are level 2, and we have a unique factory which we want to use immediately, and we also have new buildings to utilize. So first, I'm going to place down that unique factory. Okay, then let's go ahead and add in the other processing type. So this is a biomass pellet, so I'm going to place it here. I am generally going to add one in each section. Okay, so I have placed down every building that is available. So our unique factory, let's make sure we max it out. And let's check if we have more than yes, we have more than enough workers. And again, we're just gonna wait for the next level up. I am going to add in the airport. I just want to unlock the airport apron. So all I need to do is create an area. So now we have all the airport stuff unlocked, and most importantly, we have the airport apron, but we are not going to create an airport just yet. I simply wanted the apron. Okay, now we are level 3. And just again, we're just going to add in the new buildings, which are mostly the extractor. We don't necessarily have the processing buildings, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and add a few more extractors. So again, our idea is to have our extractors on this side, our processing on this side. So why do I have processing near the highway or near the main road? That is so that if you consider the flow, they extract the resource here, then they go towards the middle, then they take the main road. If you mix it up, depending on how wide your roads are or the gaps between each building, you may create bottlenecks. So that is like our strategy here. So while we're waiting, we can go ahead and add in the unique factories. So we have several here. The issue is we don't have the resource available yet. So for example, this needs plastic, and plastic is made from oil, and we don't have that industry yet. Nevertheless, we could still place it down. Okay, so we've placed down every unique factory. So again, for example, glass is not available. Since we don't have that resource, I'm going to go ahead and deactivate them. So again, we have more than enough workers. We're simply waiting for the so if you notice, or as I mentioned in the previous video, that these are abandoned buildings, and I want to make use of this. So this is from the map itself. So as much as possible, so if you're playing vanilla, you want to build your roads as close as possible to these structures without having to demolish them. So as you can see, I'm trying to fix the road so that it doesn't, chop down or destroy the buildings. Okay, so we kind of isolated the area, and all we need to do is adjust the road so that it makes sense. Oh, you know what? I didn't realize our power got disconnected. Oh my, so we've been losing money. Anyway, that's fine as long as we caught it. So disaster averted. Okay, we are now level 4, but before I continue that, let me just go ahead and wrap this one up. Alright, let's go ahead and return to our forestry area, and let's add in the new structures. Okay, so our industrial demand dropped. So let's go ahead and return to our low income neighborhood. So here we need a new district, and this new district will be plain, while this one it's using the European suburbia. So if I zone this, it will continue to be the same, while this one will be the generic type. And so in City Skylines 2, homeless is a thing, and apparently they are at parks. So let's go ahead and add in a park to pay homage to City Skylines 2. So these are regular zone types, but sometimes this appears. This is from the King Leno pack. So it has like a rundown area. So my idea is to utilize these type of zone buildings in this whole neighborhood. So that's how we're going to create our low income housing. But I'm going to be using the find it mod and plop down each individual building, because another way to do that if you're playing on console is you have to delete each building that you don't want, and then you have to make it historical. But of course that's gonna take an extremely long time. As you can see, we are just gonna wait until the right building pops up. So for instance, this one is good. I think this is fine. We can keep this one, right? This is an extremely long process, so I am just gonna use a mod so that we can get through this quickly. Okay, let's take a closer look at what we have created. Yep. All right, I like these buildings. It definitely fits the theme over here. I'm gonna use the set historical, so I don't have to so that they don't level up or they don't change model as they level up. And I'm just gonna continue zoning as the demands appear, and then I'm gonna keep using the same technique. Okay, let's take a closer look. Yep, that looks fantastic. We could add or we could detail a little more, so let's go ahead and do that. So here in the abandoned buildings itself, I am going to add like a path just to make it appear like it's connected to the road. Okay, so far so good, and all we need to do is just continue decorating. Okay, and now we reached level 5. So I'm just going to wrap this one up, and then we're gonna go back into the industrial area, and then we're gonna decorate that part. Alright, so I guess the rest I'll just decorate offline, but we have a pretty good idea on how it's going to look. So let's go ahead and check our industrial area. Now you can see we're earning 60 or over 50,000 per week now. And we are in the positive income. We have 70 tons of plain timber, and what we're missing is paper, and we have zero imports. So paper comes from this thing, pulp mill. So pulp mill has the most production rate. Okay, let's check out the status of our forestry industry. So we're earning 13,000. We are importing, but that's very easy enough to fix. All you need to do is create a whole ton of extractors. But before that, let's organize our unique factories. So again, this is all turned off, but when we eventually turn it on, you put it on max. And I really want to put them on along the main road. I'm gonna go ahead and organize that and put in our factories along these lines. And yeah, I just kind of want to remove all the kind of unnecessary things in the forestry area and just try to keep it as forestry. And then we're gonna organize things there and make it a look more pleasing. Okay, now that we got the unique factories out of the way, we can organize our processing structures along or closer to the main road. Then the extractors will be further out. So the traffic management logic here is, first, the extractors furthest from the main road will deliver to the processing structures which are closer to the main road, and with this practice, it becomes a smooth rotational flow. Nevertheless, it is still possible to just completely mix in the buildings like we did in the farming industry, but theoretically, this is the ideal method, and you can also utilize one-way roads to guarantee a rotational flow. Okay, I think we have more than enough. So if we check, we're earning 75 paper, 55 plain timber. This is like the right ratio that you want to keep it above 10,000 weekly income. So you can see it spiked up to 24. Now we're going to work on our import. And the way to remove or reduce import is to simply have more extractors. So we could definitely have it have zero imports into our factory. So when we look here, you can see that there are these chopped down trees, and I want to make use of that. And there's also this Stonehenge looking area, and let's try to build around it and create a story. So for these logs, I'm going to place in the sapling trees. So the idea is, you know, we chop down all the trees and now we're trying to regrow, and that's how I make use of the, you know, assets around the city. We are now simply expanding our forestry area, and the larger the better. So we could have a really awesome zoomed out view. I would say a good area size per industry DLC would at least be half or 3/4 of a tile, so you can have that aesthetic bird's eye view. The first few things you need to do is to replace the small forestry fields to the medium or large version so we could occupy the most space as possible. And a neat trick you can do with forestry and farming industry is to mix in water towers on the extractor areas. Extractor areas do not produce pollution, so it is completely safe to add in water towers. And the water towers also help break the repetitive fields, and it adds a story that if there was a fire, we already have water nearby for any such emergency. And for the longest time, I have never used water pumps or drain pipes, and my cities do not interrupt aquatic life on rivers, lakes, or oceans. So since Sunset Harbor DLC was released, I've always used water towers and inland water treatment plants. Other ways to break repetition and to avoid square blocks is by creating angles and curves, then plant the same trees from the forestry field to fill in the angles. And you can also add other non-polluting structures such as storage facilities, workers' barracks, pedestrian paths, and maintenance buildings. And you can also use the large rock formations with built-in trees. I utilize these nature structures as a border to divide the forestry fields as a means of transition from the chopped down trees, sapling fields to the main forestry area. And this is why I believe that Industries DLC is the best DLC, because you can creatively design 4 different types of industries, and it also comes with large unique factories that you can mix into your city. And on top of that, Industries DLC is the second highest generating income after hotels and retreats. The only downside to Industries DLC are for other mayors who do not know how to manage traffic, so they have a fear of industry traffic management. But not to worry, I am fully versed in the game mechanics of Cities Skylines 1, so traffic is not even an issue. And we will carry on to learn and master the game mechanics of Cities Skylines 2, which I am quite excited about. Okay, let's check out what we accomplished in this episode. First, let's check out the forest industry. So we can see we have over 50 tons each for plain timber and paper. We are earning positive income, and we have 0 imports. And also, let's check out the actual area itself. So it spiked up to 13. If we go to our budget or economy tab, we check out the income. We're earning 54,000 with industries, so that's only forestry and farming. And our hotels DLC is still earning a lot more, even though we had least effort with them. If we go into this tab, you can see it remains in the positive. So I'm at ×3 speed, so it doesn't appear to be going negative. And again, if I check this, it will definitely still be 0 import. And what I love about forestry industry are the mixed buildings. Oh, the other thing that we wanted to check is the traffic flow. So we're still at 92. It's becoming more problematic here simply because we only have one way to exit the city. If I wanted to, all I need to do is to create an interchange here. Let's say I make this go straight, and then they would exit the city right away. Same thing here. All I need to do is make a connection here, and that would be no problem. But I'm curious of how far I can go before we experience total chaos with traffic. So we're gonna see how big of a population we can get. All right, back to the forestry, and what I like is the different types of storage facilities. It really makes a huge difference. And also, if you look at the pollution area, so the pollution is on this side. So strategically, what I'm doing is, so the traffic in this area, you can see it's mostly green. And the reason for that is because our extractors are on this side. So the flow is, first they extract the resource, and then they go to the processing buildings, which is closer to this side. And then they would either export or go into the unique factories, which in this case is only this one over here. And yeah, so that's why our flow here is excellent. When it comes to this side, this one is more mixed, and yet there are no issues. And the reason for that is because it's large. So if we look at the traffic flow here, see, it's mostly green. So the bigger it is, the less traffic. But if it's closer or more compact, then definitely there will be more traffic because there will be so many vehicles. And the other thing to take note about our forestry industry is the water. So I've already deleted the water towers that we had here temporarily, and now I just kind of, plop them down where there is no pollution. So that will be at the extracted areas. So this is a neat way to sneak in water, right? And also here I could do the same thing. I could just add water towers in these areas, and it would blend in quite nicely, right? So there will be so we don't interrupt the aquatic life by putting pumps and drainage pipes. So that's going to be the same concept that I do with our water treatment plants. So that will be in a future episode. The other thing that we did in this episode was we created our low-income neighborhood. So this one had the abandoned building, so I decided to build around it, and that's how we created our low-income neighborhood by using the King Leno assets. And yeah, it really turned out well. And that concludes our 2 builds in 1 video masterclass episode. If you enjoyed the video and learned something, please consider subscribing, and please do hit that thumbs up as a way to support the channel. This is Captain Obvious. I appreciate your time spent here and for choosing to fly with Obvious Airlines. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next flight.